Hello and welcome to my re-recorded version of the platform selection and creation process. It looks like what I did before didn't take, so I'm going to go over it again just to make sure we have a version of this in my channel so that you can watch it anytime you want. Everything up to this point has been building to this particular to where we're at this point. Last week we talked about the social media process. The plan process. We introduced strategy and talked about the importance of strategy. This week we begin all the tactical type of decisions that you need to make when you're in the social media world. And so we take what we built from last time and we're going to continue to build, actually literally build platforms at this point. So the question now is, we've decided what our strategy is. We know what our social mission is. We decided what our social target markets and our objectives are. We now need to figure out how to make these things happen. So let's go through this lecture that I have and talk about the formula for selecting platforms. The platform selection formula is something that I came up with as a way to try to determine which platforms you should use for your social media efforts. You should run this formula for every platform that you want to consider using. And you should run this formula repeatedly when you think that there actually might be a change to the platform or even a change to your business's strategic approach. The formula starts with two components. You should be familiar with these. From a marketing perspective, these are two of the most important things that you can do, whether it's social media or advertising, or product design or product development, whatever it might be. You need to have your social media target markets, and you need to have your social media objectives. Who are you trying to reach and what are you trying to accomplish? These are going to be the cornerstones for your strategy from this point on. You also need to understand the platform. So you need to understand what the user demographics are of the platform, who's there, who's using it, and then what does the platform do and how are people using it from a functional perspective. So with these two elements that you can now compare, you can run the formula and determine whether or not the platform is appropriate for your particular company's social efforts. So you take the target markets that you want to reach and you look at the user demographics of the platform in question. If there's a match, you continue. If there's no match, then you might as well stop at this point. So any no in this formula means don't bother with the platform at this point in time and go back and do it later. In this case, let's say you're trying to reach baby boomers, those in their 50s and 60s. And your platform is Yik Yak, which has high school students and college students as their main user demographics. Does this fit? Clearly it does not. If instead your primary target market are going to be females between the ages of say 21 and 35, and your platform is Pinterest, does that fit? Yes, it does very well. So you can compare these two. Now you're going to compare the next two, your social objectives to the functionality and uses of the platform. What are your objectives? What are you trying to accomplish? Are you looking for awareness, engagement? What's the platform good for? And then if you get a match between them, that the functionality of the platform looks like you could accomplish your objectives, that's a yes, you move on. If instead you get a no, like you're trying to do engagement, and your platform's Yik Yak, which is not really all that engaging of a platform, it's anonymous and it's mostly unidirectional blasts of information, then that's a no. And so you can drop that platform using the formula. Even strategically, let's say that the platform fits this connection here. There's another element that you need to add in order to make it a practical selection. You need to look at your company and its resources. Do you have the right people? Do you have enough time? Do you have the right amounts of money in order to make this platform successful? You take those particular elements and you look at the platform's effort. How much effort's involved in making the platform work? How much would it cost you? Not just from a dollar perspective as far as boosting posts and things like that, but if you got to pay somebody to run it and you have to pay them an hourly wage, how much is it going to cost you? How much time is needed to be invested in order to make this platform work? Some platforms are far more labor intensive than others. And then expertise. How much expertise is needed to make the platform work well? LinkedIn, Facebook are very high levels of expertise. You need to really know what you're talking about. Instagram is probably lower level of expertise, though you still need to understand how it functions. If you get a no to this, that you don't have the right people or time or money in order to make it happen, then the platform selection formula in this case suggests then you don't do that. You don't use those platforms. If you get a yes, then you move on. So let's do this, break it down one by one. Start with strategy. The whole discussion from this point on needs to deal with these two strategic elements. First off, what are your social media objectives? What do you want to accomplish? Awareness, engagement, and who are your target markets? Are you trying to reach younger consumers, older, professional consumers, women? Who are you trying to reach? You now look at the platforms themselves. One, who uses the platform? What are their demographics? Age, education level, religion, ethnicity. How do they use the platform? Is that regularly, once a month? What is it used for? Is it used for pleasure or business? You need to have a full demographic understanding of the platform. You also need to understand how it functions. What are the things that it can do? This next graphic's a pretty interesting one that kind of gives you a feel for some of those functionality aspects. Is it a microblogging site like a Tumblr? Is it a video sharing site like a YouTube or a Vimeo? The Big Six assignment and the other social media sites assignment was designed for you to understand this particular part of the social platform function. You need to know what social platform formula. You need to know this element in order to make that formula actually work. And then again, can this company be successful on it? So even if the formula says yes, you need to make sure that this company can do it. Do they have the resources, the right people, enough time, the technology, the technological knowledge, the skills, or the actually technology? And you also need to know what the platform itself requires in terms of time and effort and money and skills and things of that nature. All right, so that's the first step, understanding the formula that's necessary to choose those platforms. You will be required to do this from an assignment perspective. So your individual strategic assignment, in this case, continues the Pizza Villa concept. And you now have to use this formula and go through and pick some platforms and run them through the formula. Some you'll say yes to, some you'll say no to, but I want you to demonstrate to me that you understand how the formula works and how it can get a yes and how it can get a no. Be descriptive and explain what you are going through with the formula. The next part goes on and talks about the actual creation itself. I think it's pretty safe to say that this formula will shoot out at least a couple of yeses almost all the time, and that would be Facebook and Twitter. And so I put together two lectures that talk about that and how do you actually create a presence on Facebook, create a presence on Twitter. So let's go first to Facebook. And here's what the lecture looks like. And literally it walks you right through creating the platform. These business pages just don't appear out of nowhere. They have to be actually made. And so how do you create the platform? And I walk you through all the way from the beginning of here's your profile, here's how you create a page, here's the categories that you need to select. Why is it important to choose the right category? Because it's going to come up as local marketing and social graph, Facebook social graph. These are the search functions. It makes it easier for customers to find you. To choose your categories. By choosing a category, you get different types of fields that you need to fill out. Categories are important for search engine optimization, but not as much as your about section. The about section in the description of what you're all about, which again, you have 155 characters to tell, needs to be keyword rich, because these pages of your Facebook business pages are indexed by the search engines. So the better job you do at this, the better your search engine optimization is going to be. Another extremely important aspect is your cover photo. Pictures on Facebook, Twitter, and all these others, these visual representations of your brand are very, very important. Much more so than your personal account. You've already created a personal account. You put pictures on there all the time. You change your profile picture on a regular basis. Why? Because it's fun and because people are okay with that. They like to see you change your profile picture. But as a business, you need to keep it very consistent. You need to stick to either the logo or a small representative image if the logo isn't strong enough. There are size requirements as well. So you have to make sure that you fit the size requirement so that it looks as good as it possibly could. Here's some examples of businesses, and you'll notice that every single one of them uses a logo for their profile picture. Every one of them. That just emphasizes how important that is. You want people to be able to see when they comment, when they reply, when they post something. All of these need to have the exact same branded representation. You'll also notice that their cover photos back here are very different. All of them are very different. And that's the next part that's important. So go down to the cover photo. The size is important. It's 851 by 315. It takes up most of the real estate. And what would you put on there? Well, the answer is simple. It depends. Are you a rock band? Are you a grocery store? Are you a product manufacturer? What are you? And so you could put your product on there. You could put a picture of your location if you're a restaurant. You could put people using your product or eating. You could use some kind of collage of various pictures. It can be seasonal. And then the other aspect is, how often do you keep this particular photo? When it comes to your profile picture, don't change it, ever. There's no real reason to ever do that. When it comes to your cover photo, you should change it fairly regularly. That change keeps things fresh. It keeps it interesting for when people visit your site. But more importantly, when you change your cover photo, what happens? It sends out a notification. And so that's another way that you can reach out to your consumers or your followers, and they can see that you're doing something and they can be interested in it and get you some more exposure. All right, now let's talk about the next element, which is Twitter. So the other creation slideshow that I put together deals with Twitter. And so the decisions here are very similar to what you need to do for Facebook. I walk you through, just like I did the other one, where you start from, the basic information, all the ways that you have to pick, you have to set it up, confirming your account. I even created Heath University as a way to do that. It's not real yet, but sure would like it to be. And so you go and there's a ton of decisions that need to be made. The name that you choose should, of course, be as close to your branded name as possible. Your business name would be best. So your Twitter handle is extremely important. You want to keep it as what you created. You don't want to change it unless you absolutely have to. So keep it simple and right to the point. And then you have pictures and all kinds of visuals on Twitter as well. Your profile picture follows the same basic concept as Facebook. You want it to be something that is representative of your brand. Your logo is probably your best option. And it's even more important on Twitter than it is on Facebook, because on Twitter, your news feed just flies right on by. And if you're not, you want to keep a consistent branded element on there so that when people are zipping through their news feed, and come on, be honest, you zip through your news feed, you go really quick. You want to stand out with your brand. So you don't change your profile picture very often on Twitter. In fact, I never, ever do that. There are other pictures and visuals that you need to think about with Twitter. You have a very large photo as well. So there's the big background image as well as an actual background that you need. They give you stock backgrounds you can use, but please don't use those because everyone else does. It's all about branding, right? You want to make sure that it fits with what you're doing. And so that is important. So is the color that you use. There's also an information section. There's a bio that you want to make sure you're very descriptive and strategic in using that properly. Make sure your location's there, your website links, those type of things. They're all important to do for Twitter. All right. So that's a look at the content that we had for this particular week, is the platform selection elements. Make sure that you go through all the information that I have. These slides shows that I've gone through. You go through them again. Be very diligent about making sure that you understand what's in that. Do your assignments. There's a discussion board question that I've posted. So you have to go out and find your favorite or best example of a company using Facebook, a company using Twitter, and a company using Instagram, and post some screenshots of what you found, and then look at the other people's posts and comment on what they've done so that you can share that information amongst yourselves and get some ideas of some really good business exemplars of how companies are using Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. And then do your individual strategy assignment, which I talked about just a little bit earlier. There is a quiz this week as well. I think it's 6 questions, and it only covers the platform stuff. So it'll talk about how do you make your platform decisions, being able to explain the formula, being able to talk about how to create Facebook and Twitter accounts. So I think it's a very focused week and a pretty easy one for you to handle. But if there's anything that's bothering you whatsoever, please email me, and we can set up a hangout like this and talk, or you can email me and I can reply to you, whatever is necessary in order to make sure that you're comfortable with what's going on. All right, I'm done. I'm out. See you.